Welcome, fine students of mechanical and grammatical studies. Today, we want to talk about sentence structures, or in other words, how can we create fluency through a variety of sentences in our writing. First, let's do a little review of what we've been talking about this week. Okay. First, we have independent clauses, right, which we abbreviate as IC, and we have dependent clauses, which we abbreviate as DC. Grover is a monster is an independent clause because that sentence can stand by itself. Right? It has both a subject, a verb, and a complete thought. Okay? The reason the DC is a dependent clause is because even though it has a subject and a verb, it is not a complete thought because he is blue. It doesn't really tell us anything. It's more giving a how. Okay. Now the way that we put together these clauses, these independent and dependent clauses, help us create types of sentences. Okay. A simple sentence only has one independent clause. And unfortunately you can't see him because he is hiding on you, because he is just too grouchy to show himself. But we know that Oscar is a grouch. That is a simple sentence. We know it's an independent clause because it has one subject and one verb. Now please note, adding phrases does not change the sentence structure. I still have one subject and one verb, even though I've added some phrases to the end of my sentence. Right. Let's talk about the compound sentence. These you should already be familiar with. A compound sentence is a combination of two or more independent clauses, but they must be punctuated correctly. You can see here we have a compound sentence because Big Bird and Snuffy make one subject, and they have one verb. So we have one. We also have so that's one simple sentence. We also have another simple sentence. They is a subject. Enjoy learning is a verb, or a verb phrase, or a predicate. So there's another simple sentence. We can combine these to make a compound sentence. And we know we can do that by either inserting a semicolon here. Big Bird and Snuffy are best friends. They enjoy learning their numbers from the count. Of course, then we need to lowercase this t here to make it a lowercase t. Okay. We can also turn the period into a comma and add a coordinating conjunction. Big Bird and Snuffy are best friends, comma, and they enjoy learning their numbers from the count. Okay. Those are two possible ways to create a compound sentence. Now let's talk about the complex sentence. A complex sentence has any combination of dependent clauses and one independent clause. Okay. Because they are roommates, that is a dependent clause. Even though it has a subject and a verb, okay, it does not have a complete thought. So it needs an independent clause, just as we've been talking about. But Bert has to tolerate is another verb phrase. So what makes this sentence complex is the fact that I have more than one subject-verb combination, but I only have one dependent clause and one independent clause. Okay. So because they are roommates, Bert has to tolerate Ernie's rubber ducky in a complex sentence. Remember, I can add more than one dependent clause to my sentence and still have a complex sentence. Okay. When it is nighttime, Ernie sings about living on the moon after Bert sings about dancing in the pigeon dance. This sentence has two dependent clauses, but because it still only has one independent clause, it is a complex sentence. Now I can also put all of that together to make a compound complex sentence, right? And that's any number of dependent clauses and independent clause combinations. So because Elmo became popular, you notice we have a dependent clause. They gave him his own segment. Now we have an independent clause. Now I'm going to use a semicolon to attach a second independent clause. It is called Elmo's World. Because I have two independent clauses, that makes it a compound. But I also have the dependent clause, so I know it's a complex. So this altogether is the compound complex. This little lesson on sentence structures was brought to you by pages 554.2 in your writer's ink, and the letter Z. It's also given to a little help from our friends down at Sesame Street, a registered trademark of Jen Henson Productions.